Hello everyone and welcome to Uncharted Parenting, a podcast brought to you by Encounter Youth. Parenting is one wild adventure. It's full of twists, turns and plenty of uncharted territory. Don't worry, you're not navigating it alone, we're here with you. Each episode here on the pod, we dive into real conversations, expert insights from some amazing professionals from various fields, and honest stories to help you find your way in this parenting journey. I'm your host, Louis, the Education and Parent Coordinator at Encounter Youth. Before joining the team here, I enjoyed 9 years serving as a police officer in the South Australian Police. But most importantly, I'm the proud dad of 2 boys. Welcome to Uncharted Parenting because, let's be honest, no one really has a map for this journey. Let's dive in.
Welcome everyone. My name's Nigel Knowles and I'm the CEO of Encounter Youth. And it's my pleasure to be hosting today's Uncharted Parenting podcast. Now, we all know the gift of children are definitely a gift, but it is well known that it can be one of the most challenging milestones in our lives that we've got to navigate in raising children. And often for a lot of parents, when a child is sick or ends up in disadvantage or in a circumstance that they're even living with a disability, it makes this journey even harder. So it's my absolute pleasure and privilege to introduce you today to a man that's the CEO of a charity here in South Australia, Variety, the children's charity. And so welcome, Mark McGill.
Thanks, Nigel.
Mark's the CEO of Variety, the children's charity, and honestly, they do some fantastic work in supporting young people, children, and their families that are sick, disadvantaged, or living with a disability. So welcome, Mark. It's a real pleasure to have you on today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Just before we dive in, can you share with us a little bit more about, your background, who Mark McGill is, and we might be here all day.
I was going to say, I'm originally born and raised in Brisbane, Queenslander, so don't hold that against me.
No, I was born in Brisbane too.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, yeah, well, there we go. Yeah, but left when I was 24 to come down to the West Torrens Footy Club in a marketing role, and I remember it was the 18th of January, 1988, and I said to my dad came with me, and I said we were driving down. I said to Mum, if it all turns to rubbish, I'll see you in 6 months. And that was, as I say, 1988. So,
wow.
Had a great time at West Torrens. That sort of led me into the association with our families. Had a 70-year involvement in AFL through my father and my grandfather, and who are significantly, obviously, huge influences in my life. Professionally, then went to the SANFL. Then was inaugural part of the Crows from day one in 1991. Mm-hmm. That was very exciting, and we had a staff of, I think, 13 or something. Yep. May not even been that. But now there's like 80 odd. So we were in the demountable hut behind the goals at Footy Park and the car park.
Yep.
So it's that's been a wonderful association that I continue to this day with the footy club. Dabbled in the arts with the Fringe and the Adelaide Festival, and stints in Sydney and stints in Melbourne and Brisbane, and then have come back to, but always had been living in Adelaide along those times, and then running parallel to all that sport and the art career was a strong association as a volunteer at the first instance with Russell Ebert and Barry Robin, dating back to the Crippled Children's Association, and then to Little Heroes, to McGuinness McDermott Foundation, which morphed into Little Heroes, and then to Variety. So it's been a very interesting road.
Yeah. How long have you been the CEO of Variety?
12 years now, yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, it is. It's a wonderful privilege to be in the role. It's a very interesting, diverse, dynamic, rewarding, engaging role that, I would think, and you would know, it's quite unique in terms of what we see and do every day that's not norm.
Yeah, that's great. And before we go too much further, you're also a father yourself, a parent.
Yes, yeah.
And how many children do you have?
Just the one.
Yep.
Yeah. So he's a handful. So
Right.
well, he's not a child anymore. He's nearly 30. So, but no, it's I have a really wonderful relationship with my son.
Yep.
I often say, parenting has been probably the one career that I wanted to be genuinely good at. It was a one vocation that I think is just such a responsibility. From moulding your children from day zero to be good people is a huge responsibility and equal parts honour.
Yep. For someone that's always been in those senior leadership roles like you have, how have you found balancing the challenge of parenting with the demands of senior leadership in those charity sectors and not-for-profits, but also in the football world, all demanding areas? How have you found that, balancing that?
I think that's a responsibility that you need to take on in terms of you don't, in sport and the arts and certainly at variety, it's that none of those are 9 to 5 gigs. As I said before, they're dynamic in nature and dynamic in reality. So that means you and your family is part of that, and your family has to understand that. And that's not putting the job before your family. It's just making sure that reality and expectations managed.
Yep.
I've never been. I say to all my guys when we're having interviews for staff, you'll never miss a sports day. You'll never miss an appointment. You'll never miss a confirmation. All those really a concert. You'll never miss those days because that's what makes us. That's our core elements.
Yeah. To
be empathetic, to be compassionate, and to be understanding about your team and overlay that in your culture.
Yeah, that's great. An off-the-cuff question: if you could go back or maybe give yourself some advice when you were a young parent, or for young parents today, what would you say?
Oh, cut yourself some slack.
Yeah.
I think in terms of, there is no perfect parenting. And I think the other thing is also you're not given a playbook.
Yeah.
When this gorgeous little one arrives, and in a bundle, and away you go, and you just obviously mistakes are made, and you learn by those mistakes.
Yeah.
And when I say mistakes, they're not. It's more about I think that, and it's a long time ago, but everyone's got advice for you.
Yep.
And it's about you actually, with your partner, paving your way about how you parent, and so I think that'd probably be the one thing. But I've loved every minute of it.
Yep.
That's understanding that it hasn't been all chocolates and roses either. That's the intriguing and challenging part about parenting is just the every day, every hour can be different.
Yeah, that's great advice. I've often been told the goal for parenting is not perfection.
Yeah.
Because it's impossible for your child to live up to that.
Yeah.
It's not about you, it's the bar that they can't meet.
Yeah.
And so the new goal that I was given was to be good enough.
Yeah.
Which fits with what you're saying, to cut yourself some slack, be kind to yourself.
Be kind to yourself. And the other thing is also, if you stick to a pretty narrow kind of achievement basis to create a good person, a kind person, a loving person in a loving environment. That's what I'm. It's not about trying to be all things to all people. It's about really focusing on the really core elements that you and your family values are, and if you achieve that, you've done well.
Yeah, that's great advice, Mark, and every parent needs to hear that at times. So thank you. Now let's jump back to your role at Variety. Did you ever think that you'd be a CEO of a children's charity? Or did your parents think that?
No, it was probably, it's probably a question asked for someone else. And most of them are good mates who probably say no. Look, I think from a point of view of you have to be actually passionate and really committed to whatever you do, whether you're a butcher or a bricklayer or a CEO, because that's the element of leadership, that's the element of excellence that you want to bring to your team and to lead your team. I think I was ready at the time in terms of I had great mentors. I'm very lucky to have great mates and great friends who all have great leadership qualities in different parts. And I think you take a little bit of a slice of them, mostly unknowing. You just like, and I think we mimic great behaviours, or we should mimic great behaviours. And that's really about, where you try and overlay that as CEO. And the other thing is also you never stop learning about what it's like parenting. I don't think there's a playbook about how to be a great CEO when you arrive at Variety 12 years ago. It's just a matter of putting your stamp on the organisation with the support of the board, with the support of your team, with the support of the volunteer network to make it a better place.
Yeah. I really like what you said there, Mark, that you invest your passion in everything that you're doing, and knowing a little bit about you and seeing you in action a number of times, I'm sure that everyone sees your passion for this role and this incredible charity of Variety, the children's charity. So maybe you could take us through a little bit more through the many things Variety do for so many communities around South Australia. So communities and families that are disadvantaged, and how do you create opportunities for those young people and those kids that really need it the most?
Look, as far as Variety is concerned, it's a huge question in terms of the answer is depth and breadth. So at the very, and you mentioned it earlier, that if we support children through sickness, disadvantage, or living with a disability, now that is a huge 360 scope. So, and the other thing is also it's the geographical boundaries are our state. So we're covering the entire state. We support individual children and families. That may be through an iPad, it may be through splints, it may be through a whole raft of then mobility, technology, then through to things like inclusive playgrounds that are many hundreds of thousands of dollars projects that include children. It was one of our trademarks. Offer inclusion, break down those barriers, and so that is a generational kind of gift, as is Sunshine Coaches. They're a kind of multi-generational gift in terms of which allow children to get to school, get on social functions, sporting, and so that gives them access to achieve their potential. So that's the kind of depth, if you like, and the breadth. It can be from a $500 piece of equipment to $1 million grant in terms of what it may be. The other important aspect is we support other children's charities, Encounter Youth being one, which is one of our great pleasures, because it's about, if you go back to the sporting mentality in terms of if you play in a team, you're selected in that team to do for your skill set and to bring to the table what you can bring to the table to make the outcome better. So if you look at Variety, we don't support children directly in terms of providing services. We have a great, loyal, passionate, generous, kind, volunteer, entrant, donor, sponsor base who are all committed to generating revenue so we can support individual children and, as I said before, other children's charities. So what that allows is for Encounter Youth, as in this example, is to support more children, to be more efficient, to be more effective, is to actually focus on your core business rather than having to worry about where the next dollar is coming from, writing another submission for a foundation, looking for another donor, because that's off. If you can educate these children in terms of the programs that you do, that's what we are, and everybody who supports you is looking for you to do, not be trying to find more money to and again, it's inefficient.
Yes.
It doesn't. It's just an inefficient system.
Yep.
In terms of you having to employ a practitioner, a team member that's focused on that in a very cluttered, busy market, a very competitive market. 5,000 charities in South Australia alone.
Yep. Yeah.
So that sort of thing, it makes it, it makes it very difficult.
Yeah. Oh, look, you've summed it up very well, Mark. Like, Encounter Youth is incredibly grateful for our partnership that we've had over a number of years with Variety, the children's charity here in South Australia. That Variety's financial support to us has meant that we can more easily provide our Empower Education program to regional, remote and disadvantaged children, young people and their families. And like you've summed up, Variety has such a powerful groundswell here in South Australia that you really do, from your passion, bring together like-minded people and lift that groundswell up of financial support, but also impact across many, many different areas with young people to see that impact. So we're very grateful, but I know that there's a lot of grateful people out there, grateful families. Certainly even been to playgrounds that have the inclusive play equipment for someone in so that a young person that is wheelchair bound can enjoy a swing. I mean, it's just incredible.
And you can't put a price on that.
No, and not the smile either. No, 100%.
The other, if you go back to the impact that you guys do, because of their age and their and we're all there, and we're all as naive. No one's a genius at 15.
Yep.
But hopefully through the education and the empowerment that they receive in terms of that education and awareness, that good decisions can be made. Now, with good decisions can be made, then their life can be a better, more fulfilled, less complicated. And they're the unknown factors that we will never know.
Yep.
Because they're the sort of sliding door moments about saying, would I have made that decision had I not had that awareness? And so, to your point, the children remote and regional areas, and also those in the metro, get the same quality information to empower them to make good decisions. And that's a kind of legacy that we'll never know, but hopefully has changed many pathways for the better.
Yeah, it's if that's. I couldn't sum up a better speech for anyone seeking to get involved with charities like Variety, even volunteering their time with other charities or participating in fundraising events. You'll never know the impact that you're investing in, and that's really well said.
And the other thing is also, it's a two-way street. And I said this going back in my AFL days to the players, in terms of volunteering and being associated with the not-for-profit charity sector is a two-way street. You just don't be a volunteer and give, you get. So that's the difference in terms of having your and in many ways. I would speak to some of our volunteers who feel their cup is overflowing of the gifts that they've received, rather than the mentality that I'm giving my time. It's and that's why, to your point before, we have these great people involved where they are super, and they're moths to a flame over that. They're all like-minded. They're all selfless in that aspect. So it's a great environment to be in, and that's why I'd encourage people to be involved. Your time is your time, and all of us, regardless of our title on the shingle at the front, need volunteers. All of us need expertise. That could be at the board table, that could be answering the phone. Yep.
No, that's great. I think of volunteering and even financially supporting charities is really the lifeblood of our community. It's what lifts us all up. Now, Variety has a long legacy of supporting and impacting the lives of so many children and families over 50 years.
Yeah, 50 years in Australia this year.
Yeah. But I can imagine you personally have seen some incredible moving moments along the way. Is there one story that has really stayed with you that sums up the impact Variety can and has had on a child's life?
It'd probably be unfair to bring it to one, because there are so many, and they it's very much about small percentages of things can make such a difference. And I think I've got a letter from a mum that I laminated probably 10 years ago, and it was from outlining her experience as a mother of 3, all with various degrees of disability, and how Variety had supported her, but it was a window into her life, a snapshot, and it was just a take-back moment about how fortunate we are who live in a different environment, and it's sort of always a reminder. I whip it out every once in a while when I'm feeling a bit full of myself, and just it's just a great reminder about the people, and I use that mum as a kind of hero to who we support, and sort of it's that's why it's sort of, if probably she's the one that represents everybody in terms of this is a window into my soul, this is a window on my day, my week, my year, my decade, and it really puts perspective about what that support means, and what that support means to her children, to her parents, to her brother and sister, to the siblings, to the school, because that halo effect, if you support the child, then you support all those around the child.
Yeah, I've often tried myself to explain what it's like to work in a charity or a not-for-profit, and one person actually explained to me that it's a little bit like it is a real privilege, and I know that you used that at the start of this, and I do as well, that it's a privilege that you get access to another person's life and the struggles that they face, but they've actually invited us into that to help them.
Yes.
But it's a privilege for us to be let into that and to gain the understanding and the grounding and I suppose the anchoring in our lives of how good we've got it, or
no doubt,
no matter how bad our day is.
No, that's what I mean. And there are so many. This is what I talk about in terms of bringing, and we talk a lot at work about adding value. So what can I add value to it? And in your decision-making process, is that statement, is that action, does it add value? And it's a really mantra for us in terms of, the paediatrician adds value by his or her skill set in terms of that. The footy or netball coach provides that encouragement and teaching to children as a volunteer. The teacher, the nurse, so there's so many ways in which you can add your own skill set to supporting these kids, because it's a choice. I'm from an age of generation where it was a completely different world in terms of time and lack of technology and competing pressures and competing expectations and all these bits and pieces. So all those sorts of things. So I think we're, as a community, as a society, we're in a great debt to all those who do make the choice to be involved.
Yeah,
because it is a choice.
Yeah. No, I think you've summed that up very well, Mark. So Mark, you mentioned this before that yourself and Variety have been remarkable supporters of our own education program here at Encounter Youth and over a number of years now. But for you and everyone associated with Variety, the children's charity, as we mentioned earlier, this year marks 50 years of Variety in Australia, which is an incredible, extraordinary milestone. It's a tough environment to maintain a charity. From your perspective, what does that history mean, both for the organisation, for the families and the communities you've supported over that time?
There's so many streets to that in terms of how many children probably have been impacted is the number one for me. Because that one decision 50 years ago, that one group of people, and then how that branched out into the states and territories, all those decisions ultimately led to more children being impacted positively. That's a wonderful thing. That's regardless of how it happened. That is the greatest achievement. The funds that are raised is fantastic, but we're not a fund management. We actually raise funds to give it away. That's exactly what we do. We raise it one year, we give it all away the next. It's a very simple model. And we do that so we know how much we've got to give away. Which, surprise, surprise. But I think that's where the narrative changes. You'll always hear us talk about children first. You're always talking about the 43,000 children that were impacted last year in South Australia alone, rather than the X million dollars that were raised. And that doesn't diminish in one iota how hard everyone has worked, how generous people have been, how kind people have been to raise those funds. It's about we take those funds to make sure that more children have a better life. And that's the only reason we do it.
Yes. Well, 50 years, it's incredible and a great milestone that I know that Variety have been celebrating this year and marking. You've had your annual gala dinner, which was a great success, and then the annual Variety Bash, which South Australia got to hold the national event.
Yeah, we do. And the other thing I was just on the 50 years as well is that the time that we've been operating in South Australia under our full banner, which is I think over 40 years, and this speaks to the South Australian community. We are one, if not two, most generous per capita office in Variety within Variety globally.
Wow!
I think we may be number two because number one's the in the Channel Isles, which is a tax haven. So
right,
Jersey. So so it's but in terms of our dollar per capita is 2, 3, 4 times that of other states in Australia.
Yeah, wow.
There was a time 2 years ago, 55% of children impacted in Australia through Variety lived in South Australia. Now, that's 7, nearly 8 times the impact by population. We're 7-8% of the Australian population. So, that kind of impact, that's where you get. That's why Variety in South Australia is such a powerful movement, powerful organisation, because we have this generosity behind us. We have these. We have the support of the community, and with that allows us to support more individual children, including the number of children that you support. Yeah,
well, that's I didn't actually know that, and look, on behalf of both of us, I'd like to thank all the incredible, generous South Australians that have contributed to Variety and keep contributing to Variety in their wonderful giving and participation in all that you do.
That's just another important aspect as well, is that our job's not done. Our job's never done.
Yes.
Unfortunately, we'd love to go out of business. Because that would mean
that's true.
That would mean that every child is being supported. Every child doesn't need any support from Variety. And that's actually the reverse. We are making more grants to more children. We are raising more money to keep pace with demand, not not to have a kind of backup fund, or this is just to keep pace with demand.
Yep.
Now we all know the social pressures we're all under at the moment.
Yep.
They're not going to go away in a hurry. We all know where the health system and other bits and other agencies are at, and so that's why we are, to your point, enormously indebted to those who continue to support us, because that need is unfortunately and sadly increasing, not decreasing.
Yeah, no, that's very true, Mark. And like you said, the need is definitely increasing, and it's not so much the gap that you fill, but the role that you play in this state is just wonderful. And so that appeal's always there, that our work is never finished, and we want to continue that. So with half a century under your belt for Variety, it also feels like there's a lot of excitement and things that you're looking forward to. So what do you think's next for Variety? Are there particular priorities, new directions, or big dreams that you're really excited about as you step into the next chapter?
Look, it's a constant source of our job. And I say our job in terms of our collective, be it Variety, Encounter Youth or otherwise. We need to continue to evolve, because what was relevant and what was normal 5 years ago, 10 years ago is not that now. We need to be, I don't like the word because it comes from COVID, but the nimble aspect of it just means that you need to be actually not rest on historical aspects, that you need to continue to move with the contemporary environment and that we live in. And also that's reflected in your own team. You've got different generational team members from, and their norms are different, and they should be celebrated, and they should be learned. How you were doing things. We've got a more litigious society that we live in now. We've got a higher risk profile that we live in now. So all those bits and pieces, when you run motoring events as an example, you've got to make sure that everything is safety is paramount. And so I think, to answer the question, we need to be more diverse. We need to learn from and lean on our experience. We need to not just expect, and we don't ever, that it's always going to be the same. And I think that's the kind of thing and also every time we need to express our gratitude, express our appreciation, be genuine in our thanks, and also to look just over the horizon a bit as to what the next thing is, and also that be acutely aware that there's not going to be any silver bullet in terms of solving childhood sickness, disadvantage, or those with a disability. Yeah.
Well, Mark, it's been a pleasure to have you on this episode of Uncharted Parenting. Look, I'm sure on behalf of all of our listeners and Encounter Youth, our board, staff and volunteers, thank you to you for 12 years of being the CEO of Variety, the children's charity here in South Australia. Thank you to your board. Thank you to your incredible staff and your incredible volunteers and your community of supporters that get behind Variety and all the events and fundraising that you do. Because the impact that you have for Encounter Youth and our program, but all the other programs and initiatives and grants that you give to this state is incredible. We're very grateful for you, and we wish you all the very best.
Thanks,
for the next 50 to 100 years.
Yeah, absolutely. And as I say, the organisation has a wonderful foundation. It's built on such strength of, as I said before, generosity and kindness. And those sorts of things are never undervalued. And if you can continue with that, then we'll always be in good stead.
Yeah, sounds great. So if you'd like to know more information about Variety, the children's charity here in South Australia, they've got a website that's easily accessible, that's got all of their updated initiatives, fundraising activities and events, a lot of fun events that they have, everything from next year's Variety Bash to other events that they put on. Find out more at their website, that's variety.org.au. SA, and I'm sure they'll look forward to you joining in with them. That's it for us today. So thank you for joining us. Thank you,
Nigel.
Mark.
Cheers.
And we'll see you again in another episode
Thanks,
of
mate.
Uncharted Parenting.
Bye.
Well, that's it for today's episode of Uncharted Parenting. As always, thank you so much for tuning in. We really hope you enjoyed this episode. We love to hear from all of our listeners, so if you have any questions that you would like us to answer here on the podcast, we want to hear from you. Send those questions in to us and we will be answering them right here on the pod. Please send them in to podcast@encounteryouth.com.au. That's podcast@encounteryouth.com.au. Uncharted Parenting is now also on YouTube, so head on over and subscribe to our channel at Encounter Youth AU. And remember, wherever you listen to your podcasts, give us a follow, subscribe, send us a review, send in those questions by the bucket load, and remember, there's no map for parenting. You enter uncharted waters every single day, but there is a way forward. You're doing an amazing job, and we're here with you on that journey. We have some more amazing episodes and guests coming your way soon. Until next time, goodbye for now.